No bank deposits are safe. That is the one thing all people should take away from what is going on in Cyprus today. Now, most people don't even know that they do not legally even own their own bank deposits. The bank is the legal owner of the bank deposits. And now what I mean by this is that if you have a savings or checkings account at a bank, you are not the legal owner of that account. The bank is the legal owner of that account. So that is why in Cyprus, they can basically just steal whatever money they want from those accounts to bail the banks out because they own the account, not you. So most people don't even understand with stocks that most stocks are registered in street name when you hold stocks at any brokerage firm. So again, what that means, held in street name, is that the brokerage firm, the investment firm, owns your stocks. You are not the legal owner of any stock that you hold at a brokerage firm if it's held under street name. So the reason the banker set up this policy of owning your account is exactly what a third-party liability means when you hold fiat currency, that there is a third-party liability. Now, most people don't even understand what that means, but basically today I'll put a link to the article below. I wrote an article several years ago, I believe it was, or at least a couple of years ago, in which I explained that 70% of commercial banks in the United States, according to statistics provided by the St. Louis branch of the U.S. Federal Reserve, are not held to any reservation requirement. That is correct. Over 70% of U.S. commercial banks have zero reserve ratio requirement, meaning they can lend your money out. So this is where the third-party liability comes in. You give them money, so you, in effect, are lending your money to a bank when you hold your money in a bank. You don't own that bank. You are lending that money. So whatever savings account, whatever money you hold in a checking account, if it's a demand deposit account, you are lending that money to a bank, and the bank in turn can loan it out. So it loans it out to a third party, or it invests it in some other investment vehicle in which they are trying to make a greater return than the interest that they are paying you for. So that is why they pay you interest, is because they take risks with your money. And now today that interest is almost zero across the board, and most Western nations are very flat, close to zero. So unless that third party or whatever investment they are making or loan that they are making makes good, then you may not get your money back. That's where the third party liability comes in. And that's what people don't understand about third party risk. And that is why gold and silver, physical gold and silver, have no third party risk. So if you think about this, it's quite a crazy concept, right? You are lending your money that you think you own to a bank. So the same analogy you should think about is if your best friend came to you and asked you for a loan of $2,000, $3,000, $100,000, euros, some people have $1 million, would you lend that to your best friend? A lot of people say, oh, of course I'll lend money to your best friend, but would you lend as much money as in your entire demand deposit account at a bank to your best friend, expecting it to get it back? You would realize there's some kind of risk in that loan, that you might not get all that money back within the guaranteed time frame that you specify you want that money returned to you. Now that is exactly what you're doing by holding your digital currency, because you have to realize 98% of money today is not even printed out on plastic or cotton fiber. It's just digital. That is what you're doing. So a lot of you probably have had this situation where kind of an acquaintance comes and asks you for money. And would you lend it to that person? If it's just an acquaintance, you probably would not, because you're thinking, hey, I might not get that $100, euros, yen, pound sterling back. I might not get that 500, 1,000 euros, dollars, pound sterling back if I lend it to just this acquaintance, because I don't really know if this acquaintance is trustworthy or not. But yet, that is exactly what you are. You are a lender to the bank if you hold any money in a bank. So if you don't believe this, look it up. I'll put links actually below where you can go see that the legal owner of your money is the bank and not you. So you're in fact lending your money out, and that's what a third party risk means. So that is why when you own physical silver, like the stack of physical silver coins behind me, there is no third-party liability. This is what we mean by sound money. It doesn't depend upon someone else making good on some risk that someone else is taking for you to get your money back. Because when these risks fail, that is why bailouts happen. That is why banker theft happens, is because your money gets devalued, because then central banks have to create more money out of thin air because these risks failed. So the banks don't have your money anymore. In order for the banks to return your money when you want to withdraw it, then central banks have to create more money, which is counterfeiting, which they call quantitative easing, which devalues your money. Okay, the last thing I want to explain is something I omitted from the last video. It was just to show you how much the US dollar has lost in purchasing power in just 80 years, from the time the US Federal Reserve came into existence in 1913 till today. Now, most people make the mistake, they see they get a pay raise, even if it's a significant pay raise of 15 or 20% every year. They say, oh, because last year I was only making this much money and this year I have this much more money, that I am now wealthier. Now, more of this fiat paper currency backed by nothing does not mean you are richer. You can actually have more of these and get poorer. So a perfect example is, as incredible as this example sounds, if you had $20,000 $1913 and grew that to $900,000 $2013, you're actually poorer with $900,213 than you were having just $20,000 in 1913, for the specific reason that the US Federal Reserve has absolutely obliterated the purchasing power of the US dollar, and today the purchasing power of the US dollar only has 1/50th the purchasing power of a $1913. So in other words, they destroyed 98% of that purchasing power. So if this stack of 50 silver coins behind me represents the purchasing power of the US dollar, I wanted to represent visually basically what has happened to your savings account over the last 80 years if you're an American holding US dollars in the United States of America. Now, the devaluation of the US dollar has been 98%. So that means the bankers through inflation have stolen this whole entire first stack from you and have taken everything of the second stack except for 2 coins off the top. This is what you're left with. So they stole 48 out of the 50 coins through inflation. Americans always say, well, that's Cyprus, it can't happen here. It's already happened through inflation, because this is what you've lost in purchasing power, which is basically theft. It's incredible, incredible amount of theft. So, again, if you've learned anything from this video, please do hit the thumbs up sign. Please do spread the word, and send this video on to as many of your friends and family as possible, because our mission here is to awaken people to reinstate sound money that is 100% backed by hard assets and not by air, because this is what will liberate everyone. Okay, thanks for watching. Until next week, take care. Oh, one last thing I wanted to tell you quickly. If you want to follow us on Facebook for more frequent updates on Cyprus, just type in www.facebook.com/smartknowledge. So there's no U at the end, so it's just /smartknowledge. Okay, thanks a lot. Until next time.